The United States of America, one dime, dated 1981 with a D, mint mark, is a 10-cent coin struck by the United States Mint in Denver, part of the long-running Roosevelt dime series that began in 1946 to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States and a central figure in the fight against polio through his support of the March of Dimes, which is directly connected to why his portrait appears on this denomination. The obverse, front, of the 1981 D-dime features a left-facing bust of Roosevelt designed by John R. Cynic, with the word liberty inscribed along the left rim, symbolizing the foundational American ideal of individual freedom. The national motto, "In God We Trust," positioned to the left of Roosevelt's neck, reflecting the country's official acknowledgement of faith and moral guidance. A phrase first placed on U.S. coins during the Civil War era and made mandatory on all coins in the mid-20th century, and the date, 1981, along the right edge indicating the year of minting during the presidency of Ronald Reagan, a period marked by economic transition, inflation control, and Cold War tensions. Just above the date or near the neckline appears the small d, mint mark, identifying Denver as the mint of origin. Denver having produced hundreds of millions of dimes annually during this era due to high circulation demand. The reverse, back, of the coin displays a torch in the center, flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right. A powerful trio of symbols representing liberty, torch, peace, olive branch, and strength and endurance, oak branch, with the inscriptions United States of America along the top rim and one dime along the bottom, clarifying both the issuing nation and denomination, while the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, appears to the right of the torch, signifying the unity of the states into a single nation. Composition-wise, the 1981 D-dime is a clad coin made of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded over a pure copper core, weighing 2.27 grams. Measuring 17.91 millimeters in diameter, and featuring a reeded edge with closely spaced grooves originally designed to deter precious metal shaving in earlier silver coinage. By 1981, dimes were no longer silver, silver having been removed in 1965, making this coin purely base metal and intended strictly for circulation rather than intrinsic value, with the Denver Mint producing over 400 million dimes. That year, meaning most examples remain common today and typically hold face value unless found in uncirculated, mint state, condition, or exhibiting notable errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, or missing clad layers. Historically, the 1981 D-dime reflects everyday American commerce at the dawn of the digital age, circulating through vending machines, payphones, public transit, and cash registers while quietly carrying centuries of symbolism, national identity, linguistic heritage, and political ideals in a small, durable form meant to last generations, making it a modest yet meaningful artifact of U.S. monetary, cultural, and historical continuity. The next top. The United States of America, one dime, dated 1988, with a P, mint mark, is a modern circulating coin that belongs to the long-running Roosevelt dime series, a design that has been in continuous production since 1946 and was introduced shortly after President Franklin D. Roosevelt's death to honor his leadership, particularly his role in guiding the nation through the Great Depression and World War II, and his strong association with the March of Dimes campaign that fought polio. The obverse, front, of the 1988 P-dime features a left-facing portrait of Roosevelt designed by Chief Engraver John R. Cynic, with the word liberty, often misread or misspelled as library, running along the left edge. The national motto, In God We Trust, placed to the left of Roosevelt's neck, and the date 1988 positioned on the right side near the rim. Just above the date, or slightly to its left, appears the small P, mint mark, indicating the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which resumed using mint marks on dimes in 1980 after many years of omitting them. The reverse, back, of the coin displays a torch at the center, symbolizing liberty and enlightenment, flanked by an olive branch on the left representing peace and an oak branch on the right symbolizing strength and independence. with the denomination 1 dime clearly inscribed near the bottom. Above the torch is the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, a phrase that reflects the unity of the American states into a single nation, while the legend United States of America curves along the outer rim. The 1988 P-dime is composed of a clad copper-nickel alloy, consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, a composition adopted for dimes in 1965 when the U.S. Mint moved away from silver due to rising bullion prices. The coin has a diameter of 17.91 millimeters, a weight of 2.27 grams, and a reeded edge with closely spaced vertical grooves that were historically used to discourage the clipping of precious metal from coin edges. In terms of production, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of dimes in 1988, making this issue extremely common in circulation and easily found even decades later, which means it generally holds face value unless it is in exceptionally high mint state condition or exhibits a notable mint error, such as an offset or strike, double die, or planchet defect. From a historical standpoint, the 1988 P-dime reflects the late Cold War era of American history, a time marked by technological growth, shifting global politics, and the final years before the dissolution of the Soviet Union. Yet the coin itself represents continuity and stability in U.S. currency design, as the Roosevelt dime had become a familiar, everyday object for generations of Americans. Collectors often include the 1988 P-dime as part of complete date-and-mint sets of Roosevelt dimes. And while it is not rare, it plays an important role in illustrating how modern U.S. coinage emphasizes durability, mass production, and symbolic national messaging through inscriptions like Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and E pluribus unum, which together express core American ideals of freedom, faith, unity, peace, and strength in a small yet historically meaningful piece of metal the next top. The United States of America 1 dime, dated 1999 with the P mint mark, bearing the inscriptions In God We Trust, Liberty, and E pluribus unum, is a modern circulating coin that belongs to the long-running Roosevelt dime series, a series that began in 1946 and continues to the present day, making it one of the most enduring designs in U.S. coinage history. And the 1999 P issue in particular reflects not only the artistic, political, and economic values of the United States at the end of the 20th century, but also the technological precision of modern minting practices. The coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the small p mint mark located to the left of the torch on the reverse, a practice that became standard for dimes starting in 1980, and it was produced in extremely large numbers, over 1.1 billion pieces, to meet everyday commerce needs during a time when cash transactions were still dominant despite the early rise of digital payment systems. The obverse front of the coin features a left-facing portrait of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States, who served from 1933 until his death in 1945 and is remembered for leading the nation through the Great Depression and World War II. And his placement on the dime was chosen shortly after his death due to his strong association with the March of Dimes, a charitable organization he helped inspire to combat polio, the disease that left him partially paralyzed. And the portrait used on the 1999 dime was originally designed by John R. Sinek, the 8th chief engraver of the U.S. Mint, whose initials JS appears subtly at the base of Roosevelt's neck, a detail often overlooked by casual observers but of interest to collectors. Surrounding Roosevelt's portrait are the inscriptions Liberty along the left rim, symbolizing the foundational American ideal of personal and political freedom, and In God We Trust to the right, the official national motto of the United States, which first appeared on U.S. coins during the Civil War era and became mandatory on all coinage in the 20th century, while the date 1999 appears near the lower right, marking the final year of the 1990s and giving the coin subtle historical significance as a product of the pre-millennium United States. The reverse back of the dime is equally symbolic, featuring a torch in the center, flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right, a design also created by Sinek, Where the torch represents liberty and enlightenment, the olive branch stands for peace, and the oak branch symbolizes strength and independence, collectively expressing the national motto, E pluribus unum, Latin in four out of many, one, which arches across the top of the reverse and reflects the idea of a unified nation formed from individual states and peoples, while United States of America, curved along the upper rim, and one dime is inscribed at the bottom, clearly stating the coin's denomination. Compositionally, the 1999 P dime is made of a clad structure consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded over a pure copper core, a standard introduced in 1965 when a U.S. mint eliminated silver from circulating dimes due to rising bullion prices. And as a result, the coin weighs exactly 2.268 grams, measures 17.91 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge with 118 reeds, all specifications that ensure compatibility with vending machines, coin counters, and banking equipment. In terms of finish, most 1999 P dimes were struck for business circulation, meaning they have a standard satin-like appearance with moderate luster rather than the mirror-like surfaces seen on proof coins. Those special 1999 proof dimes were also produced at the San Francisco Mint for collectors, distinguished by an S, mint mark, and superior strike quality. From a collecting standpoint, the 1999 P dime is generally considered common, especially in circulated condition. And most examples found in everyday change are worth face value, 10 cents. But uncirculated specimens in high mint state grades, particularly MS 67 or higher, can command modest premiums due to the difficulty of finding modern coins without contact marks, abrasions, or dull luster, and coins with errors, such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, double dies, or missing clad layers, are of particular interest to error collectors. In the next top, the United States of America one dime dated 2004 with the P mint mark is a Roosevelt dime struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and it represents a small but information-rich piece of modern American numismatic and cultural history, combining national mottos, portraiture, metallurgy, minting practices, and historical symbolism into a coin only 17.91 millimeters in diameter and weighing exactly 2.268 grams. The obverse features a left-facing portrait of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, designed by John R. Cynic and first introduced in 1946 to honor Roosevelt's leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, as well as his instrumental role in founding the March of Dimes to combat polio, the disease that personally afflicted him. And on this obverse appear the inscriptions Liberty along the left rim, In God We Trust to the left of Roosevelt's neck, the date 2004 to the right, and the small P mint mark just above the date indicating production at the Philadelphia Mint, which by 2004 routinely used the P mint mark on dimes, unlike earlier decades when Philadelphia coins often carried none. The reverse displays a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty and enlightenment, flanked by an olive branch on the left representing peace, and an oak branch on the right symbolizing strength and independence, with the inscriptions United States of America along the upper rim, E pluribus unum out of many when above the torch, and one dime along the bottom, all arranged in a balanced, neoclassical style that reflects mid-20th century American design ideals. Composition-wise, the 2004 dime is a clad coin made of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, a format adopted in 1965 when rising silver prices forced the U.S. Mint to remove silver from circulating dimes, making the 2004 issue entirely non-precious metal but durable for everyday commerce. The edge of the coin is reeded, a feature historically used to discourage the shaving of precious metal from coin edges and now retained as a tactile and visual tradition. In terms of production, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of dimes in 2004 for circulation, meaning this coin is common and widely encountered, typically holding only face value unless found in exceptionally high uncirculated or certified mint state condition, or as part of a special error variety, such as off-center strikes, die cracks, or double dies, which collectors actively seek. Historically, the mottos on the coin carried deep national significance, with "In God We Trust" first appearing on U.S. coins during the Civil War era and later adopted as the official national motto in 1956, reflecting the country's cultural and spiritual heritage, while "E Pluribus Unum" dates back to the earliest days of the Republic and emphasizes unity among the states. The Roosevelt dime series itself is one of the longest-running continuous designs in U.S. coinage, and the 2004 P issue represents a snapshot of early 21st century American minting, produced during a time of advanced mechanized striking, high output, and widespread circulation used rather than commemorative intent. Collectors often examine these coins for strike sharpness, luster, and surface preservation, especially around Roosevelt's hair and the torch bands, which are key grading points. And while most examples are ordinary pocket change, they still serve as miniature historical documents, carrying political ideals, artistic decisions, economic policy, and national identity in a form small enough to fit in the palm of the hand, making the 2004 P. Roosevelt dime a modest yet meaningful artifact of American everyday history. The next top. The United States of America one dime dated 2014 with a P. Mint mark is a modern Roosevelt dime struck by the United States Mint at the Philadelphia Mint, and it represents a continuation of one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history, blending national symbolism, political history, metallurgy, minting technology, and civic ideology into a small 10-cent piece that weighs just 2.268 grams and measures 17.91 millimeters in diameter. On the obverse front of the coin appears a left-facing portrait of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, designed by sculptor John R. Sinek and first introduced in 1946 shortly after Roosevelt's death, chosen specifically to honor his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, as well as his strong association with the March of Dimes campaign, which raised funds to combat polio, a disease that personally affected Roosevelt. While surrounding the portrait are key inscriptions that define American identity and authority, including the phrase "Liberty" placed to the left of Roosevelt's profile, the national motto, "In God We Trust" to the right, and the date, 2014, positioned along the lower edge, with the small P mint mark indicating production at the Philadelphia Mint, a mark that did not appear on Philadelphia dimes prior to 1980, with the exception of wartime issues, but is now standard on circulating coinage. The reverse back of the coin features a torch flanked by an olive branch on the left and an oak branch on the right, a symbolic trio representing liberty, peace, and strength respectively, with the torch serving as the central vertical element that reinforces the theme of enlightenment and freedom, while the olive branch reflects America's desire for peace and diplomacy, and the oak branch symbolizes resilience and military strength, a balance deeply embedded in U.S. political philosophy. And encircling this imagery are the inscriptions "United States of America" along the top, "E Pluribus Unum," Latin for "out of many, one," just below it, and "one dime" along the bottom, clearly stating both the nation of origin and the denomination. Composition-wise, the 2014 P dime is made of a copper-nickel-clad structure consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, a standard introduced in 1965 when silver was removed from circulating dimes due to rising bullion prices, giving the coin its distinctive silver-colored appearance despite containing no precious metal. And when viewed from the edge, the copper core is faintly visible between the nickel layers, accompanied by 118 fine reeds that help deter counterfeiting and provide tactile recognition. From a minting and circulation perspective, the Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of dimes in 2014 to meet everyday commerce needs, meaning the 2014 P dime is considered common in circulated condition and typically holds only face value unless preserved in uncirculated or certified mint state condition, where it may carry modest collector premiums depending on grade, strike quality, and surface preservation. And while no major mint errors or varieties are widely recognized for this specific issue, collectors sometimes examine examples for minor errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks, or double dies, which, if authenticated, can significantly increase value. Culturally and symbolically, the presence of mottos like "In God We Trust" and "E Pluribus Unum" reflects evolving American values and legal history, as "In God We Trust" was first placed on U.S. coins during the Civil War era and became the official national motto in 1956, signaling a blend of faith and patriotism, while "E Pluribus Unum," though older and not officially designated as the national motto, has appeared on coins since the late 18th century and emphasizes unity among diverse states and peoples, making the dime not just a medium of exchange, but also a miniature historical document, carried unknowingly by millions of people. Within libraries, educational collections, and numismatic references, the 2014 P. Roosevelt dime is often used as an example of contemporary circulating coinage, illustrating modern minting techniques, continuity of design, and the way national narratives are preserved through everyday objects. And although it may not be rare or highly valuable, its significance lies in how it connects daily economic life with deep layers of American history, political ideals, artistic tradition, and technological evolution, demonstrating how even the smallest denomination can carry outsized meaning when examined closely and in full context.